going to be one of the biggest mismatches. One of the biggest matches I'm super excited to see is Faker versus Maple. Two of the very best mid laners in the entire world going head-to-head is always really exciting to see.
I'm sad we don't get LeBlanc, though, in this matchup here. I think both these guys are obviously some of the best in the world at playing that specific champion, which is why also she's banned away. She is the champion getting banned the most. Been like that actually for quite a while. People figured out that even after the nerfs, she was still fantastic.
Exactly. Distortion, big nerfs there. However, the Q bouncing, still very, very powerful. And we're going to see mostly top lane focus here. Not a big surprise as we keep mentioning MMD and all the focus that teams are putting on him. They're trying to protect him a little bit, but it was a bit surprising the Rumble ban for me from SKT, as Humi is an absolute monster on that. They don't want to give it away as a first round pick though.
Right, yeah, I feel like the reason they banned Rumble is because the one blind pick that MMD has picked and even died on a few times but still had an impact on is the Rumble. Happened in the LMS, obviously it happened here at MSI, so I feel like they're just trying to target him and remove his comfort pick and try and put him maybe on a skill matchup against Huni, because that would not be pretty.
A couple of shields getting taken out as well.
Sure, I mean, you know that Bang is a player that is happy to play the more carry style, played a lot of Twitch very recently, and has been very good on him. When you contrast with someone like Betty, who has been just a second support down on that bot lane, exclusively playing CC champions down there, so, double shield comps are exclusively an SKT thing.
Yeah, so now the question is, do you take Lee Sin or Graves, or do you just trade them later on and grab something else for first pick? But there are very few, very valuable first picks right now. Lee Sin is definitely one of them.
Lee Sin is definitely one of them, and people are very quick to jump on, oh yeah, Peanut undefeated on Lee Sin, why are you giving this over to him? His Elise is also magnificent. Like there's so much that you would have to ban away from SKT to take this out.
Right.
Lee Sin is definitely one of the champions though that you expect Peanut to go for his aggressive playstyle. You talked about molding players to SKT though, Freak.
And what I'm excited about is it's a no jungle ban game, so Peanut and Karsa, arguably the two best junglers of the tournament. You can make a case for other ones here, but two extremely top-class junglers get to play pretty much whatever they want and go ham on each other.
Yeah, I like that Lee Sin has taken the #1 spot over Graves. It was actually Graves earlier in the tournament who would take him, but they realized playmaking potential is important, and of course you can still trade it for the Graves here, which is fine for Karsa. Tahm Kench again. We always talk about these trends that develop during a tournament. Tahm Kench is now, for some of these teams, become really high priority pick.
It does make a lot of sense, with the Ashe and Varus still very high priority for a lot of teams, but also mid laners that have a lot of pick. Talia's very big now, Syndra's very big now. You're getting a lot of things that people being able to save 180 carry from a pick like that means a difference between a team fight.
Now, I want to see Echo or Fizz here from SKT. The reason they can take Fizz is because they can still flex it top lane. Worst case, they put it mid, and it is actually a good matchup for Faker against Syndra. Echo is the other traditional counter, but he doesn't need to lock that in now. He already showed the Fizz.
Plus, Fizz, if you do put it into the top lane, is a really, really strong laning champion because of the fact he can bring Ignite and use the abilities to escape ganks up in the top lane. There's a lot of pressure there. It actually adds a lot of very dynamic pressure to your drafting phase with both solo laners.
Yeah, it's actually quite a big surprise that Flash Wolves showed Syndra here. Again, red side is where you traditionally look for counter picks for your solo laners, but they said, you know what, Syndra is the #1 pick for us with LeBlanc being banned, and could also be that Maple doesn't really want to try and play like Echo or something against Faker Syndra.
Yeah, that is what's kind of strange about this, is you're right. Like, I guess if you thought the Syndra was going to get grabbed over here on the second round on the blue side, you mentioned maybe not want to play counter pick, but you're right, when the Graves going to come picked up anyway, you can just wait on the Syndra to remove the option of counter picking by getting the bans here.
And I think a lot, other things that weigh into it besides just the Faker versus Maple matchup is the fact of that early Lee Sin pick puts more pressure on you because there's so much early playmaking, whereas the Graves is more farm oriented for the beginning.
Yeah, but it sadly just means now for Flash Wolves, if they start banning out Echo and these counters to Syndra, then Fizz just becomes the mid laner. So that strategy is kind of gone. You don't actually get that favorable of a matchup now for Maple that you otherwise could have maybe gotten on red side, because we know Faker likes to blind pick Orianna. And I think that would have been okay for Flash Wolves to play against, because they can then try and then roam away from the Orianna lane and create some of these picks in the side lanes they've done in the past against SKT.
Or look for that Hall of Fame solo kills on Faker in the Syndra versus Orianna matchup.
That's fine too.
Trying to get your name up there in lights.
There you go, the Gragas ban. So yeah, several tank bans coming through, and again, we know that Fizz can just simply go into the top lane and he'll just pick Echo anyway, and we'll just have 2 assassins and still have a good matchup for himself. So lots of tools to play with right now for SKT. But still, top lane bans coming through right now.
Yeah, they're trying to hurt MMD again. We know Fizz can go top lane for Huni if needed. Kled is another pick that MMD has played quite a bit, and Flash Wolves do have the last pick in this draft here, so they could take it as a last pick. It has been banned away a few times against them again. I think just more out of respect and maybe fear against MMD. I don't think they need to ban another tank, at least at this point. Or if they want to, it should be Nautilus.
Maybe Kled, if anything, for something he's
exactly.
a bit comfortable on. It looks like a first pick Ashe will be coming through for Flash Wolves, though, based on the Varus ban. You pick number 2 in that generalist role for the bot lane, and the final ban is going to be Kled right there. So is it going to be another 4-letter word with Ashe getting grabbed?
Good prediction, Freak.
Thanks, buddy. It's not hard. Just saying. Jhin. Oh no!
I think they missed the joke there.
I did. I actually didn't. I didn't look over.
Honestly, though, we were looking at the setup here with the Varus ban from Flash Wolves for this pick for Betty. We mentioned it a couple times, though. The champion pool for Betty has been just mainly the utility AD carries. It has been the Ashe, it has been the Varus, it has been the Jhin. It has not revolved around end game scaling AD carries like this. So this is a very interesting look to see from Flash Wolves here. There's only been a spot couple of games in their home league where Betty was actually on the end game carry.
Betty's played 40 games of Ashe Varus Jhin.
That's what I'm talking about.
And 8 of not. None of those have been Twitch right now. There is a significant difference in play style here for the player. He's got a Tahm Kench support. He's up against a Kog'Maw. Now maybe even Renekton to dive on him. Keep in mind the mid-fizz scary as well. And suddenly, a lot of weight is on Betty's shoulders.
Yeah. Betty's Twitch pick here, and the very weak 2v2 lane bot for Flash Wolves just open up.
Oh!
Some late game picks from Bang as well, and Fiora. That is a blind pick right now up in the top lane. You could potentially take Renekton on the side of MMD against it and try and really bully that lane.
I actually really enjoy this. SKT have 2 super strong, assassin solo laners here, basically. And then the Kog'Maw doesn't even have a bunch of extra shields. They want to work off of the pressure. Kog'Maw actually does spike pretty early, just on an item or 2. It's not really the old Kog'Maw that people think about. You have to farm all super late game. But so much damage here possible from SKT.
Blind big Fiora.
I love watching this team.
And you do not get punished at all. Like, that is actually quite surprising. Obviously, when you are SKT, you're 4-0 already. You can gamble in the bigger ban phase here and there. MMD did not feel confident taking any sort of skill matchup against Huni right now. So he takes a tank, accepts that the late game is so heavily in favor of Huni that Flash Wolves have to try and get ahead early on and just try and force teamfights with this Nautilus. Otherwise, that side lane is going to be 2 or 3 towers in favor of SKT, and then Huni's going to run all over the place.
Exactly. It's going to be the double teleport. We're definitely going to expect that, and it's going to be so scary. The mid game is always where you look to SKT, and this is where teams talk about they're unable to act almost because SKT, every minion wave they push, they then make another action to force you to a different area of the map, and you lose out slowly in pressure.
Really interesting as well with this switch, as you guys talked about, like, there were so many AD carries available. He could have gone for like all these standard AD carries except for Varus was there, and he went for the Twitch. The only Varus was removed.
Wanted to play Twitch, had the option to go elsewhere, so a new style for Betty here in this one. Flash Wolves have always found it in them to do well against SKT. For some reason, this has lined up well against them. We'll see this happens again. When it doesn't look obvious, it still happens. They match up well in the early game, they match up well in the mid game, and maybe this is just that matchup where it clicks for them. SK Telecom T1 hoping that this is their first perfect international tournament. 4-0 so far. This is the last matchup for the first round robin. They will play 5 more BO1s before the bracket stage, but a clean sweep in the first side of the groups would look nice for them.
I like how we have 5 teams here at MSI. Playing just to try and make top 4, and then we have SKT trying to make it the perfect tournament. That is now their goal. That is the objective for them. Do not drop a single game.
This is very important for Flash Wolves. If they could improve to 3-2, they were able to defeat SKT in the group stages of MSI last year, and this would definitely put them ahead in that race you're talking about of the other 4 teams.
Exactly. Now with obviously TSM beating G2, those 2 teams are sitting at 2 and 3 right now. Gigabyte Marine sitting at 1 and 3 so far. So getting one surprise win can actually mean such a massive difference. And
a win against a team that almost no other teams are expected to get wins against. So wins here are very, very potent.
Especially when you know every team is within reach of each other. Regardless of the end of the first round robin, everyone's going to be within striking distance of making or losing out at the end of the group stage. As we have a pretty low impact early game here. We had Wolf sitting in the brush. Peanut going to go for a blue buff start. Looks like Graves will get Raptors.
And you always have to track the early information here. SKT have this crucial ward. It's not that crucial anymore, as you'll assume that Graves will start the Raptors, but this is going to give them confirmation. We'll track Peanut as far as his early route on Lee Sin. He is definitely one of the most aggressive that we'll see.
And it actually means that Huni saw MMD with their little early leash. So Huni's trying to wait here, see if he can get a few early hits on Nautilus, but MMD is taking a long route around. We'll find each other though.
Ooh, gets a good Vital there as well for a nice chunk.
Yeah, despite the Courage of the Colossus, actually some decent damage coming through. Huni already max stacked on Fervor, meaning plenty more attack damage coming through. And he's winning that trade pretty nicely. Keeps the Fervor on, gets another Vital actually, really outletting MMD super early on. Another good Vital spawn actually, queues up in a second. Gonna look for it, gets even more damage.
Also, you notice Huni was zoning him off of the experience, so he's even lower level, but Karsa is coming to even the odds.
Not gonna be level 2 at the start of this one. Here comes the attempt to chase it down. Of course, there's no other CC for MMD, just the passive. When it times out, he can flash auto, flash Q. Karsa wants it, one more hit. The turret would block this shot. A trade of flashes. Huni will have the TP early.
You have to assume Peanut's gonna go for an invade now. They had early vision on the Raptors. Karsa gave away his position.
Babel just put a ward down. As soon as you said it, Kobe, here, to spot if Peanut is actually walking to that blue one.
What is important in the counter invades there is also the pushing in the bottom lane. Right now, right in the middle, so there's not a lot of extra support for him.
Now, flash trade from Karsa and Huni right now. TP used by Huni very early, though, to get back to the lane, and that can be very important for MMD.
You can still see, delayed invades to look for a lower level jungler on the other side, because even though Karsa is able to get to his blue side, he hasn't spent the time clearing, so Peanut is able to get the Scuttle Crab, but he gets revealed by the Scryer.
I like that move here from Karsa, just knowing there is a chance this guy might actually gank me. Another option is he goes down and places a ward in the entrance to spot the Lee Sin.
Exactly. It's basically mirroring the old play that we used to see, where you would use your early smite on the Wolves to get the Wolf Spirit. That no longer in the game. Now Scrying Orb is basically taking its place, and Karsa able to adapt.
We're seeing actually a pretty substantial lane lead right now for Maple. It's going to be +7 before the lane even resets itself. He's got an extra minion there to kill. Revealed by the fact that Lee Sin, actually Fiora's top side, and Maple should have to hug the bottom side for that.
This is very standard in the Fizz Syndra matchup. The Fizz will have to surrender some CS early on. Like level 6 is really the big point for Faker. Normally what you say is that once you have ulti on Fizz, if you manage to land the ulti, well, you should expect to get a kill. Because then your jungler shows up and the guy's knocked up and that's a kill.
Exactly, and a lot of the extra CS that you'll see, variation in the matchup is if the Fizz has his jungle visit early. If you have, more threats for kill pressure, that's where he's able to kind of get extra CS off based on that.
Again, important also, as we highlighted before, Huni had to use early TP back to lane. So it means now MMD can push lane all the way out, and if he wants to keep the pressure, he can TP back to lane and get a bit of an advantage there. He's actually surviving for now, but we need 1 or 2 items on this Fiora, and then it's not going to look so good up in top lane.
Yeah, tilts later on. Worth noting, Huni is going for the reduced cooldown reduction masteries there, so it's only a 4-minute and 15-second, or actually a I forget the numbers. Either way, about a 4-minute TP timer instead of a 5-minute TP timer, and it means he's less gankable. It's already halfway back.
But also still getting the Krug wards up there. They just saw Karsa before that one went off, and so Peanut's still able to keep track of him.
All right, so nothing happening just yet here as far as junglers are concerned. Gold is about equal. Peanut only up 30, so Karsa got an early gank off and has managed to keep up in farm. Credit to him for managing to keep his jungle afloat despite the early Lee Sin pressure.
Soon get level 6 for Faker here. He played this exact matchup in the LCK final against KT, and as soon as he hit that level 6 mark, well, he got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 million kills. I think it was about 1 million. About
1 million is probably accurate. I want to point out a nice little thing that MMD did right there, which is he's stuttering his passive applications that Huni will hit riposte. And then once riposte comes through, then he goes in for the rooting auto attack. It gives him the shield, it gives him the extra damage, very useful.
Meanwhile, you can tell about the setup that SKT are making right now. Even though it seems calm, the vision is exploding around that mid lane. The vision keep mentioning Faker approaching that level 6, approaching the kill pressure. The vision is being set up, to make that play possible. Huni, though, is still the target up here.
Oh, we got seen. He just barely got seen.
Nice
the anchor still's going to land. But Huni's fine with that one. Yeah, Karsa just barely snuck in a vision. Unlucky move.
Really good for SKT. They survive early on here. No one falling to any ganks. 6 is now hit by Faker. Huni's getting there soon. Peanut even finds time to do Dragon, or started at least, because Karsa obviously showed on top side.
Also, he just popped the Scryer's Bloom on the top side, so Peanut knows he's still up there another 10 seconds later, and he should be able to finish this one since his bottom lane is pushed in, and the bottom lane has priority.
And even on top of that one, Infernal Drake is the easiest Drake to solo. It is as squishy as all the other non-mountain Drakes, has no extra single target damage like Cloud, and no slows like Ocean, so Peanut level 5 solo with just 2 long swords, very clean, nicely done, and that's going to start a solid early game for SKT.
And now once we get, further into this laning phase, we have to remember double teleport on the side of SKT. That's going to be dangerous.
It is going to be dangerous. Bottom lane will be one area that has to worry about that. And bottom lane already going very heavily in favor of Bang and Wolf, who definitely are higher rated just as a duo, but also in this matchup.
And as we talked about in Champs League, Flash was needing kind of to get ahead early on, because you have a 1-3-1 comp by SKT with double teleport, so it's extremely difficult for these team fighting comps to stop that if you fall behind, because 2 lanes are getting pushed in, you can't stop the split pushes, you try and force a fight in the mid lane, and they TP in on you.
And they're already looking to get out of that bottom lane, rotate up top here with the duo, and try and pry open some space here around Huni.
They are lane swapping without having a push in the bottom lane or top lane, so it's not a fast-paced lane swap where you rush down the enemy tower, because you can see now Twitch needs to actually take the wave from his own tower and push it forward. This will give SKT plenty of time to react and actually get to their bottom tower tier 1 first. They can even TP Huni down to this bottom lane and dive MMD or just take the tower.
Exactly. The only thing is that Peanut will not be able to traverse that terrain, but Karsa has a red buff on Braves, which is tremendous turret killing power.
And looks like the damage going a little bit faster from the Flash Wolves side. It's a close one to be sure, checking out everywhere. And it seems like Flash Wolves is a little bit faster on the play. And because they brought the Graves in, because they orchestrated the entire situation, first turret gold goes to Flash Wolves, 350 bonus gold because of that.
I'm actually sad Huni didn't just TP to the bottom lane. They could have taken that tower, given the full amount of gold to Huni, and then have him just sit bot lane and swap Bang and Wolf to the top side, because there is no Drake anyway. But Huni kept his teleport. He's now sitting top lane, looking at Flash Wolves push in this wave, and not really doing anything.
Move is now rotation towards mid lane for SKT, while Huni, as you said, is trying to pick up CS here at the turret. It's a little bit dangerous, but most of the focus from Flash Wolves should be on getting that turret down, getting that gold.
They can get for themselves turret down below half HP, and it's still just Huni alone. A new wave for SKT, not going to get as much damage as the other teammates did, and Wolf chunked up in its side of turret, but the kickback is there. Looking for the plays to be had. Nice knockups for MMD, but still taken down for first blood. Cannot defend that.
You don't go for a kill in the 1v3. You go like Huni's trying to do and just go for the minions.
Oof. Faker here using ulti as wave clear, just putting it there on the minion wave, so it dies. They now get the tower in the bottom lane. MMD, he just messed that up completely.
Exactly. Complete opposite focus. You could see, as you mentioned, Faker and Huni are all about the minions, doing everything they can to clear out the minions. And even though MMD sees the perfect line onto Wolf, it's a 1 versus 3. What do you do after step number 1 of landing your hook?
Do you always need a step number 2?
Yes.
Having step number 1 is
If you don't have a step number 2, you are dead.
Yeah. Severe mistake.
Well, you need to tell him that. I like step number 1.
Even another minor point is the Nautilus ulti will do full CC and damage on the targets it passes through. He didn't even target the Kog'Maw who was in range. He could have actually stunned up Bang, and maybe that one less auto attack is the reason he lives. It's close margins, but either way, bad execution by the Flash Wolves top laner gives away the kill and gives away the fact that that probably should have been 2 turrets to 2, not 2 turrets to 1 here.
Yeah, should not subscribe to the step number 1, question mark, profit like Deficio does.
Feels good when you're doing step number 1.
It feels good if you get to profit.
That's great as well, yeah.
You have to
all
get
the way
past
to
those
profit.
question marks, though.
Well, the Riddler's in the way. Batman not successful in this game. Right now, it's just about SKT holding their solid 1,600 gold lead now off of some miscues by MMD. And it's funny because Karsa, I believe it was, said, MMD got focused. Don't worry, we fixed the problem. Your opponent's targeting you is not a problem. That's your opponent's exploiting a weaker player. And MMD actually is being a weaker player in this game, unfortunately.
Sadly for him, and it's been a story, in the LMS as well. He's not regarded as one of the best top laners in the LMS region. While you can look at like Mabel Karsa, they're obviously looked at as the best jungle, mid duo, Sword Art in the bottom lane. It's always been, at least in contention for best support, fighting against some of the other big names. But MMD is considered just kind of middle tier. And we've kind of seen that this tournament as well.
And the cost, you know, of focusing up on that top side has been that this Fizz has gotten through, you know, unattended to. So Faker, right? Well, he doesn't have any wave clear versus 5 people, but
a little bit. I don't know how good Fishes are at clearing waves. They can ride alongside them. Kick back on MMD, but Peanut gonna get stunned. He's gonna die for this one. Over aggressive ulti for MMD. Probably gonna save the cooldown, but the kill comes through just the same.
I mean, if we're gonna criticize MMD for a 1v3 initiation, Peanut, he tried to do a fake there and ward hop to cancel, you know, the Q initiation, but then he stood around. So, you know, definitely some criticism for him as well. Booty looking to clean up though.
He'll make the big plays. Only gets 2 of the vitals, so has to get pushed right back out. Ulti by Karsa to buy some distance.
Alright, so Flash Wolves got a kill, didn't get the mid lane tower, so in the end, actually successful move by Peanut in obviously sacrificing his life for the tower. Faker without ulti top lane though.
Let's see, Huni getting some damage here on MMD, does not land the riposte.
This is a 4v3, but not a lot of dive potential, so I think Flash Wolves will be able to get out of that, you know, unscathed.
But SKT just want the tower now, because they know Betty's sitting bot lane. Let's see the play again. So Faker steps away to get a longer range on the fish to get more AoE from it. Peanut fakes and gets caught, but at this time here, you know, no one is actually hitting the tower. So yes, okay, it sucks to give up a kill, but
it did save the turret.
Yeah, exactly. You did actually defend your objective, and now you're back on the map.
Maybe it was the right play after all.
Maybe he had a step 2. Defend turret.
Yeah. Hey. Unlike MMD, the turret did stay alive.
It wasn't a juke. He was just trying to, you know, attract attention there and sacrifice his life.
He and the Wolf both playing frontline shields with the squad, apparently. Quick ripoff gonna go over to Karsa, no problem. Bang has been sitting topside. Ruin King done as a power spike. Betty just got his. He's recalled back to base, and he's now done freezing that bottom lane. Look at new lane assignments. Huni's sitting in the bot lane. Although with the Drake up, you'd rather have your TP be topside, generally speaking. Of course, Faker does have one, but he's walking up there now.
Yeah, and we also talked about you know, the Fizz getting really nice through this laning phase. Faker has his proto belt completed on top of, you know, the extra security of tenacity from his Merc Tread. So he's feeling just fine and ready to split push.
We already hit this point we talked about earlier, where if Flash Wolves do not manage to really create any sort of advantage, they need to now defend 3 lanes against double TP and 2 assassins or 2 split pushers. That is just so hard to do unless you run a ton of engagement. They have someone MMD, they have someone maybe if they land, maybe a long-range stun, but they need the Nautilus to be with the team then, and then therefore he can't sit and defend in a side lane. Flash Wolves are looking at the next 5 to 6 minutes as the opening to try and force fights. If they don't manage to do that, the game is just going to run away from them.
And you can see how important the Rift Herald is in this 1-3-1 that SKT are setting up there. They're sacrificing the Mountain Drake to do it. They put all of their vision up on that top red quadrant of Flash Wolves to prep that Rift Herald for Faker in the side lane.
It's really funny because we're still playing on 7.8, right? The old Rift Herald where it buffs one person. I have never seen a tournament with so many Rift Herald takes than MSI this year. Coincidentally or not, where on the live servers, everyone's, oh, Rift Herald's easy to take and it's really powerful and it's very obvious. Like, everyone remembered Rift Herald existed, and when you're right, we should take that more often in pro games.
I mean, in this game here, it makes perfect sense. Again, you're running split push. You don't really want a team fight if you can avoid it, so that's why they don't want to contest the Dragon. Obviously, when G2 have been trying to take it, it's just actually been pretty bad calls. So,
But they were playing some solo queue, and they're like, hey, this one's cool.
Yeah, let's get this one.
It is interesting. Either way, though, it is a game that SKT have been slowly grinding on a lead in. A couple of plays back and forth, but 2,000 gold. An arguably better Elemental Drake, and plus the Rift Herald on Faker, who can continue to split push to success. Top lane, Ada going to be attacked by a Bang, should be going down no problem. Flash Wolves hoping to find something else to do, maybe in bot lane.
Yeah, bottom lane or the mid turret. As we said, you know, even though Peanut sacrificed his life and they didn't get it then, it was still heavily weakened. So that will be an option for Flash Wolves to attack. You can see in the jungle right now, Karsa's setting up vision for them in the bottom quadrant.
It's a good moment now for Flash Wolves, though, to try and make something happen. The problem is just they've been so behind when it comes to pushing out these lanes because they're respecting Fiora, they're respecting the Fizz, so they're not pushing bottom and top lane first. They're actually waiting for SKT to leave those lanes before Flash Wolves push them out. And that means now they're always like 5-6 seconds behind on a potential play, and that's why they don't get anything.
And I think this is a good time to talk about the history of why, you know, Flash Wolves, they talked about being the Korean killers, how they got their victories over SKT in the past. So often it was about Karsa making the early moves and getting early momentum started in the game. This time, since he was so heavily tied up to the top side with MMD and they were unsuccessful at getting much out of Huni beyond his flash, they lost one of their biggest strengths that we've seen in these matchups.
I was actually looking at like gank numbers from the junglers. Karsa is the least active jungler when it comes to spending time with his lanes. He only spends time with Maple. Maple is, fun enough, the mid laner who spends the most time with his jungler. Previously, obviously come before today started. I don't know, after the TSM game. But Karsa's not been going side lanes at all. He's not really ganking for his side lanes. And it just means that he often has like a lot of farm and he is strong individually. But then his bot lane is not really ahead and his top lane is far behind, and then the team overall is behind.
To be fair, this game he tried for the top lane and they didn't get much reward.
Yeah, I guess he's not going back there. He's like, I tried one game, I'm done.
See if anything comes out of it later on. 3,000 gold now, the difference here. Of course, top lane outer falling as part of that one. SKT 3-0 in turrets, 2 bot lane, 1 top lane. Flash Wolves still able to get much else. They got the first turret off of the early lane swap play around 6 minutes in. Maple getting chunked a bit, and Bang able to play the siege pretty nicely. Always respect the Kog'Maws who know how much to play up, how much to play aggressively, and actually go for these fights in the face of a Syndra, in the face of maybe a Tahm Kench who can do a flash Q, and Bang's almost always right about what he can do.
That's very true, and normally you would play around Bang, you know, in a game where he picks like this late game monster. But when you run this split pushing comp, he's actually not important. His job is to sit mid and push away. Like, that's literally his job right now. And then he's late game insurance in some way. Because it's like, it's the Fizz and the Fiora who's going to win the game for you by them just winning the 2 side lanes with double TP. And Bang's job is to not get caught.
What's interesting is, defensively, Cog Lee Sin is not that great at wave clearing and defending turrets. If you do manage to group up and shove your side waves enough that you can go for the 5-man mid, like, you're supposed to be able to pull Faker and Huni back down. The wave clear in SKT is incredibly low. It's 4 melee and a Kog'Maw who's like a 4 out of 10 at that.
But the lack of like engage options for Flash was outside of basically Nautilus, who's stuck in the side lane, makes it actually very hard for them to force that engage. I kind of feel like I want to see them just commit to mid lane. Like, push up that mid and then force at least the mid tower.
Yeah, what I feel like is like a Tahm Kench flank, a Nautilus ulti, a flash QE from Syndra. Like, there are tools, they just need to use them.
That's why we're so worried about the slow pace of this game, as SKT are slowly grinding out further and further pressure here, and they're taking over the map. You can see every single ward is in Flash Wolves territory if it's not in the river here. Like, there's an incredible amount of control that SK have accumulated over this lax period from Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and normally then when the enemy team is able to win like 1 or 2 lanes, you should be able to win the 3rd lane at least, and that's kind of where you can play around. Right now, all 3 lanes are getting pushed by SKT. So the only opening for Flash Wolves is kind of that all-in engage, and preferably around the mid lane.
This all-in's going to be hard. SKT have already set up wards for the next objective. They've lit up that eastern jungle with a bunch of blue colored wards. The blue team SKT wards are all up in that jungle, so they are set up to play for that side of the map. Now Betty opening up onto Faker, takes a fish to his face. Of course, there's a Tahm Kench around, does dodge the shark. Nicely aimed there by Sword Art. And now it's just a mid lane fire, and you can see that it's both sides. Flash was running away.
That was actually a good offensive move from the Flash Wolves. They got the teleport cooldown out of Huni. At least one of those they don't have to worry as much about.
Now at the play to the mid lane is Faker going to be joining the squad. That is going to be invincible. And that is turret number 4. SKT have gotten 4 straight unanswered turret kills.
And they should be able to transition very easily into this Drake. As you said, Freak, they already had the ward set up. Now with the turret going down, there's not really an area that Flash Wolves could mount their defense from.
And it's always beautiful to watch SKT just play like a split push comp. Feel like it looks like they don't get pressured at all. It just looks like they know exactly what to do in every single lane, and they're just in full control. And that's obviously because they are one of the smartest teams in the world. But we see so many other teams also try and play this kind of comp. And the games get really messy. You know, a guy overextends in the side lane, he dies. The mid lane gets engaged on, they die, and suddenly it's one big team fight. But when you watch SKT play these split pushing comps, they're just controlling every lane.
And it's not like Flash Wolves aren't without the tools to do that. You know, they do have a Tom Kench, you know, a lot of mobility there. Here they go, though, grouping up around the mid lane.
It's what we asked for before. Just try and run down mid at this point here and just force that tower or an engage with your Nautilus.
And what's almost incredible about this is SKT did like the 2 or 3 man Mountain Drake, the slowest of the Drakes to kill. It's the tankiest one, and yet there was still no mid lane pressure from Flash Wolves. And what's funny is, in a game that Flash Wolves wins, it looks explosive. They're team fighting all the time. They're getting these engages off. They're battling, and it's going to be a high kill game. If a game that SKT wins, nothing happens until the game is over. Because they're just split pushing you to death. They're better split pushing. Now Huni forced to run away. Here's the explosive fight that Flash Wolves are looking for. Good damage on Huni, and there we go. The first sign of life in about 15 minutes, and that will be the mid lane turret finally falling.
One player who played in EU and NA overextends and dies.
Ah, come on!
Because he went... Yeah, okay. All right, all right.
The one guy. Everyone
Lane
else.
coma.
Well, Huni did die. Mid lane tower did fall. That was a small win for Flash Wolves.
Yeah.
We said earlier we needed to see them like preferably before the 20-minute mark, just like get that advantage.
Ooh,
Like this
really
stuff there.
early repose.
Yeah, it was that, and that's the reason, you know, Maple was able to get off his stun there, so they get the chase down. This was a low turret already, and it is something that's good, that's back for Flash Wolves. It's not going to be the monumental comeback quite yet. It's definitely something that could help fuel it though.
Absolutely, we'll see if more can happen here. MMD starting to move towards the magic resist itemization. Sunfair Cape needed to be done for his matchup against Huni, but now he's got to worry about a Fizz later on, and even a Kog'Maw who is about 55-45 magic to physical based on his build.
Flash Wolves are really scared of Faker right now. Hexstringer for Kaza, Abyssal Scepter rushed by Mabel as well. I feel like they're going a little bit too heavy on the MR side. Obviously, you have to respect Bang a little bit as well, but there's a lot of physical damage on the side of SKT you also have to look at.
I would say it's really only Huni who's like more physical than magic though. Peanut's not going to do insane amounts, and it's Bang is more magic and Faker is all magic, of course.
Oh, Fish goes wide, but it still goes in.
Looking for the tight fight onto Faker. A couple of shots come through from Bang, not too much out of him. And to disengage.
Back to the builds though, for Bang specifically here. We talked about this was a Kog'Maw comp without the extra shields. You know, it is a Kog'Maw comp that's a 1-3-1, you know, with flimsy solo laners here. He's building fairly tanky. You know, he's got a Hexdrinker, he's got the Ninja Tabi, as well as two of the more tanky-ish offensive items, and going for the Trinity Force next. So this is a Kog'Maw that also you get so tanky that you're kind of incorporating even your passive into Kog'Maw's kit. So like, if they do dive the Kog'Maw,
That's the next step.
he's tanky, exactly. He is kind of tanky, and he's still putting out the DPS. But then, even if you do kill him, he's going to explode with 2 damage, and you have these super damaging solo laners to worry about.
And he's building like his Aurelia. Right? Like I've seen Jax and Aurelia's build this way, and it's like, yeah, they need a frontline, and they get some durability items. And Kog'Maw's like, I have 700 range. I'm built the same way. It's like, okay.
If you don't take me down, I continue to put out my DPS. If you do,
If you focus me, Faker probably kills you. Maybe Huni will kill you.
Yeah.
That's so much damage on the side of SKT.
All right, they don't need Bang. It is very different from like a G2 Kog'Maw composition where it is more about him. So we can see what else can happen here. Gold lead 3.8 thousand for SKT. They're up the Infernal Drake, which is about 1,000 worth as well. And they can keep moving on forward here in this one. 24 minutes in. Quick yelps out of the Kog'Maw. Cannons! Okay, Wolf gets it. That's fair. I don't know why I keep doing sound effects when I cast.
I'm really...
I was a bald
eagle down
Especially
there.
because you set yourself up for that one, and then you delivered it as well.
I mean, I don't trust you to set me up for the dog sounds. It's a bit out there. I had to make sure to cut the full circle.
Let's get back to the split push game here for SKT as Huni is going up the bottom side. And he's got one more wave until he does get to inhibitor turrets. That's pressure that you have to react to as Flash Wolves. And just because of that, it's going to allow SKT to move in and kind of undo a lot of that vision work that Flash Wolves just tried to put down around Baron.
Yeah, the professional teams, they always talk about windows or openings, you know, when
Doghouses.
Doghouse, they don't talk about that very often, but they do talk about the fact that when you push out a wave in a side lane, you can then leave first, you can roam first, you don't
Baron
have to use the
houses.
teleport. They're now taking the Baron down as well. No one from Flash Wolves is around, and yet SKT respect the fact that Kaza walked over one ward.
Yeah, I mean, we expected them to take all the vision away from Baron, but they actually didn't do a lot of that cleaning, and there's a lot still left from Flash Wolves, so they won't be pressured quite yet, but you can see exactly the game plan from SKT, and that's going to be them returning to this game plan. The pressure on the bottom from Huni, they're going to get the sideways pushed out, then you feint at Baron, you either get a pick there, or you can actually complete it.
That's what's going to happen. 4,000 gold still remains the difference. It's been going up and down a few hundred at a time, but it has still been mostly SKT in the lead. Faker still holding on to that Rift Herald buff. About 10 minutes left on it. Hasn't made any major pushes forward. It's been SKT using their 1-3-1 to get minion wave control, map control, and as you guys are mentioning, the play around the neutral objective. Second Infernal Drake coming up soon, and if they take it down quickly enough, there will be another Elemental Drake spawning before the Elder comes through, and likely going to SKT all the way through.
It's been a boring Faker game because Flash Wolves have not tried to actually force anything with their comms, so SKT have not really been in a situation where they needed to fight and actually make plays.
SKT are making gains in this game. That's why they aren't forced into any, unnecessary moves right now. They're happy to take advantage after advantage. They're gaining more map territory. They're gaining more Drakes. Another Infernal these are great spawns for them. They don't have to take action and change the course of the game because it's going their way.
Infernal definitely one of the best at closing the game out. We'll see what the third one is soon enough. Hover over on my own screen. Looks like the final one will be a second Mountain Drake. So either Flash for a second or SKT gets a second. Quick fight in the bot or Eastern Jungle, and it means nothing. MMD, of course, very tanky. Spirit Visage done, and again, it is going to be a slow game of SKT just stacking up permanent buffs and waiting to close the game out at 40 minutes or something.
So Flash Wolves did set up 2 wards now behind the river. Now one just got killed by Braum. There's one here near the blue buff from SKT. If Flash Wolves are ever going to get the fight we are talking about, it's a ward like this one they can use to teleport on. If SKT are like starting a Baron, or like now, the ward is right there, they should actually go for it.
And they were starting actually. Peanut had warded over the wall, hoping to bait someone to kill it. When Karsa came in, he's like, let's go for the fight. Didn't quite get it.
Yeah, problem of course is Huni is already pushing already at the tower. So if you TP away and look for a fight, you might get a kill, and he might take your inhib. So it's always tricky, but at some point you have to just try and go for it and see if you can then get a Baron after.
Exactly, the reason you have to make that call, Deficio, the scaling is coming through. Fiora is at the 2 items. From here on out, it's not even fair for MMD.
It might get worse over time. Peanut now slinking around the top side of the map. Ward control still the objective. SKT back and forth around this Baron, but they know no Drakes for 5 minutes. Means the only objective worth fighting for is that Baron. They're not looking for the mid lane or the top lane tier 2 with only one ranged champion. Sieging is not their game plan. And it's just wards over and over.
Yeah, and if SKT keeps being lazy with the Baron setup in terms of actually buying control wards and killing the wards from Flash Wolves, then we will have that opening for MMD, but it might just be one chance. And if you fail that one chance, if you don't actually win that fight, well then the game is over. Because SKT didn't know they can keep chilling and just keep scaling. Vegas already in base, shopping. No one in solo queue take any note of this. This is not what you're supposed to do. Always look at your character first. There we go.
Takes the 3-second late recall for that one. I gotta point something out though. We talk about late game scaling, Huni getting huge, and I agree Fiora is gonna be a nightmare late game. But Betty's Twitch is supposed to be very good as well. With how defensive Bang is building, with the Hex Drinker, with the Trinity Force, which is not a good third item for damage output, Twitch should outscale, but he went Lord Dominus Regards against a 0-tank team. There's like 12 bonus armor on Wolf right now. You don't get anything out of the armor shred. Yeah, there's a Zonia's, yeah, there's Dead Man's Plate. Like, there is some, but Infinity Edge is so much more damage for not that much more gold on someone like Twitch. I would much rather have something that lets him kill through a Fiora, kill through... He'll still do more damage to Twitch with an Infinity Edge. Like, I just really dislike this item build from him.
Yeah, the setup for Flash Wolves, though, the kind of more secure team fight that you're talking about, that's why Deficio keeps bringing up this one chance where if they're able to get MMD to teleport in and force the fight, they do have the capability of actually taking that.
Yeah, now SKT went back. They got all the control wards. They killed all the wards in the river near the Baron. So Flash Wolves no longer have a ward to actually TP onto. And I actually agree with you, Freak, here when you talk about like the Twitch late game and the potential for Flash Wolves. Like, I think a 5-on-5 team fight, if they're engaging properly, they can win at any point in the game.
Sure.
Problem is getting the proper 5-on-5 when you're against obviously full split push. But I 100% agree. They can still win that team fight if they get it.
But SKT don't want to let that one happen. They're going to go for the Baron to try to split them up yet again. Fiora still splitting as Nautilus means not a lot of tank stats here for Flash Wolves. They do have Sword Art to front line, but he's not in just yet. Huni's still nipping at the front. But that pool floaty doesn't do a whole lot of damage to a Nautilus. He was born in the water. He simply float on top of it. Looks like nothing going to happen down in the bot lane. Betty's still farming. Level 15 on him. Does have a level lead over Bang as he's been getting more of the split push farm. Scryer's Bloom coming across. Faker spotted on a ward, and Similarly, Flash will have that to defend him in the top side.
And I just keep looking at those single wards they get to place near the Baron as the one ward that can win them the game.
The saviors.
They got it now. It's right there. It's outside of the control ward range right now.
Are you the one? Top river ward? Are you the one?
I believe it could be. Oh, let's see though.
Could be this one. Faker wants in onto Maple. Here comes Tom Kench to eat him in time. He's going to be okay with this one. Faker exhausted down to 1200 HP, but he's taken a couple of summoner spells out of the pool. Both Maple's barrier and the exhaust are now flash away from Sword Art as well. 2 summoners down for that.
Huni actually got on the tower. I think he was trying to...
He had ulted and gone for a trade.
Yeah.
And he traded equal against MMD.
Because he's barely actually hit the tower, so Flash Wolves are still stalling, waiting for the one true ward that will win them the game.
Yeah. Bloodthirster might be enough for Huni to ignore turrets against MMD. There's going to be some bit of a race for lifesteal versus tank stats. Can you out-lifesteal the turret damage back at you? Armor will reduce the amount of healing you get back, and that's somewhat of a thing to look for. But Huni, who has been out-farming, who is a level ahead, I think he's ahead in that race.
Exactly. Well, the way that you replenish your health pools is fairly equidistant for these guys. Huni, as you say, is going back to that wave. He lifesteals almost immediately off of one wave back up to full. While as MMD, he runs all the way back to the fountain, tries to take a drink, then tries to get all the way back to that turret. And they're getting there at about the same time.
Yeah.
That's currently why they're at the stalemate.
At this point, though, with double teleport, SKT actually don't have to just fight 1v1 in the bottom lane. They could send Faker down and just 2v1 dive MMD and then take tower.
Or something that I really actually enjoy is trailing your split pusher with your other teleport. You don't even have to teleport in on the other guy.
Yeah, just run to the lane and join him, and then go for the kill, take the tower. If Flash Wolves reacts by rushing Baron, you have double TP. If Flash Wolves reacts by running to stop you at the inhibitor, well, you again have double TP and can just rush Baron with Bang and Wolf.
Also, a Fizz plus Fiora can definitely pull off that dive, even on a full tank Nautilus.
Nautilus only has 2 health items. That Frozen Heart coming in is going to help against Huni, but not at all against Faker.
Still there, the one ward.
Are you the chosen one that Prophet Deficio told of? Here goes Faker.
Faker, good damage there. Shark's not going to mean too much for him. Now here comes the push back in. Faker jumps away. He's going to go from the stun. And look out for the damage on the Betty. The flash stun's going to come through. Couple more hits he'll do it. The true shot barrage. Not even what it's called, but he gets the kill anyway. Living artillery it is. And Peanut gets a little bit done. And there's the tower dive. Bloodthirster done. Huni gets a solo kill. And the game has finally broken apart. SKT kills on 2 sides of the map.
And they just waited and waited and waited. BT completed, as you highlighted, Freak. It was enough for Huni to then kill MMD. Now he gets the inhib as well. And we kept talking about Flash Wolves having to force something to try and win this game, and they just didn't.
And, I mean, we do have to go over how beautiful that escape from Faker was, because that was a decent attempt at a force. Huni is now the one. See if he can escape in as beautiful a manner as Faker did.
Ooh, riposte. The ulti damage had flashed over a lot of it. He gets away with it.
This is what it really hinges on. You talk about teams trying these comps and failing Deficio. When you have Faker up on the top side on Fizz, pulling escapes like that, and you have Huni getting solo kills, diving, and then still being able to deal with the 2-man collapse. These are how they're able to pull it off. Here goes Huni on the initial dive. He's chasing around the vitals. MMD can't find anywhere to hide.
Just runs out of health way too fast. Doesn't even get the 4th vital. Doesn't matter. Gets one with the basic attack and then goes in, launches onto the turret with the ulti. Damage is simply too high for him. And it's never going to get better for MMD. It gets worse from here. Hex Shrinker now in for Huni. Even more immune to MMD's damage. And here we go, double Mountain Drake, just to make sure it all is going to happen. Of course, we know the Baron was already taken. SKT in complete control here. 9,000 gold up. They've got 4 Drakes, all the good late game ones in their inventory here.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, then SKT has been ahead in this game for like 31 minutes or something, because they got that early gold advantage. And Flash Wolves has not had a single moment in this game actually really trying to force a play on SKT. They got 1 kill on Huni mid that gave them a mid tower. And that's been about it. We kept talking about the scaling of the split pushes and how it was up to the team fighting combo Flash Wolves to make that TP play. They had the ward, but sadly they've already pushed in, so they couldn't actually leave at that point because they're already behind.
Here comes the attempt. They want to get Wolf here on this one. Nice knock up across 3. The entire Flash Wolves team is here, and no one's able to get any damage. Bang just free firing on the back line. The quick anchor in. Here comes Redemption for the heal. Keeps the back line alive, and now Faker's in the fight. He's going to kill off Betty. That's 1 down already. Looking for Maple, and now is Peanut. The attack on a Wolf. They will knock him down. 1 for 1 so far. Sword Art buys a bit of time. Peanut low, but not down on this one. The team cutting back and Faker finding a second kill. That's 2 already. Carson to re-engage, looks for Bang, gets him. It's a trade. The passive and using Huni would rather fight than close the game out. It's a true KDA player, full NA style. Huni, as Faker goes for his 3rd kill of the fight. Huni wants number 4.
Hey, buddy.
And he's gonna knock him down. Faker with 3 kills. 1 picked up as well for Huni. That's gonna be the game. Just to add insult to injury, a 12-kill game. SKT in control for 95% of it. 5-0 undefeated in the first round robin.
Barely challenged in this game, I think it's safe to say.
Yes.
SKT in full control, like the bigger man phase with the Fizz coming in and flexed. Fiora top lane, of course, was a risk, but I guess with good scouting, knowing MMD couldn't really take any sort of carry matchups, MMD just sacrificed himself on Orchis.
It was so interesting to watch Huni as well, because at the beginning, they're going with what Flash Wolves expected. Punish MMD. Huni's trading super heavily. He draws the pressure up to the top lane, and they see Carson, and Carson's like, yes, we fixed our problems of MMD, and he's going to try and protect him up there, but they alter their style very quickly. They don't drop any advantages, really, and completely steamroll this game.
It felt like a solid, controlled SKT game. We are actually close to a record. I had someone check for me. Lowest kills at an MSI game has been 7. It was at 5 until the very end there, but of course the 5-for-1 made it all went away. And sadly, it was a 12-kill game here in this one, but close to record set. Either way, SKT looked like they're still the best team in the world. I don't think anyone's surprised with their 5-0 so far.
I'm very surprised.
Yeah, I know.
I thought
the world is shocked that SKT is 5-0 right now.
Man,
Okay?
I'm so surprised.
How can you call yourself a league analyst when you're surprised SKT is 5-0? Silly European analysts.
I was looking at, G2,
yeah,
I don't know.
Just immaculate gameplay. Either way, SKT, of course, are an amazing team, and that perfect first round robin has been completed. Of course, they will still play another game today. Now let's head over to our analysts for more on that game.
Thank you very much, Freak. Amazing, one of the many words that you can use to describe this SKT squad. But, where the rest of the tournament has been kind of mired by action, right? Fights, skirmishes, deaths, kills everywhere around the map. This one really slowed down from both teams, and we saw a very methodical game, which feels like it fits right into SKT's wheelhouse, exactly how they'd want a game to go.
And the draft, I think, is the big story here, because they really played to their draft, but it was a really interesting draft from SKT. The moment you saw the Fiora lock-in, the first actual Fiora of the season for Huni as a blind pick, that's a bold thing, as a very simple, if you take that away, but it's not so bold when you consider Rumble, Ken, and Galio, Gragas, Kled, Shen, all banned before that blind pick comes in. You can look over the match histories of MMD. He's never played a champion that actually does well against Fiora in his career, his long career, that fits in this spot. So he has to go a tank matchup. He ends up going W Max Nautilus. So no wave clear, basically the white flag of, well, I guess I'm not going to die. And the inevitability of 30 minutes onwards comes through with the Fiora.
Say not going to die until Fiora's 3 items, and then you have no choice.
Yeah, but 100%, just to echo this is going to continue to be the giant target painted on Flash Wolves, the fact that MMD has such a limited effective champion pool, and unless he can pull out those fighter top laners,
oh, he can't.
They're not going to go anywhere in this tournament then.
But we know he can't, right? He can play the Kled maybe, the Rumble sure, but the Cannon is just not a champion we expect.
Talk to me, Jan.
It's definitely a concern for Flash Wolves, but I do want to touch on SKT a little bit because we almost gloss over their dominance sometimes and how quickly they are able to identify where they can attack to just get an absolute victory, because you mentioned the word inevitability, and that's exactly what this game felt like. As soon as they locked in that Fiora and you saw, oh man, they have Fizz and Fiora, so in both solo lane matchups they can always get that advantage. And then unlike other teams, they did it without dying, right? Because we've seen so many teams try 1-3-1 over and over again. We've seen it at this tournament. No one is even close to as clean as SKT when this happens. And you saw the instant Huni got that Bloodthirster and had the items, they basically won the game. You saw the item completed, you could start your timer 3 minutes and the game's going to be over.
Yep.
Again, you want to talk about cleanliness, just look at their record now in the tournament, right? Moving to 5-0, clean sweep in the first round robin. The rest of the team sitting at 2-3, well behind them moving into the second set of games.
I mean, the rest of the teams, you watch this game, you consider that actually on the season in 2017, first game of Kog'Maw from Bang, first game of Braum from Wolf, and first game of Fiora Fiora from Huni. So it's already new stuff. And they've shown so many different comps. We talked about meta at the start of the broadcast. Things like protect the Kog'Maw, protect the Twitch. We know that SKT can do that. Set up for split pushes now 2 games in a row. Huni has run through the game. There's 16 games. That are the maximum possible, I think, for SKT. I think they can go 16-0 this tournament because they can play every style. They have carries in every role. And I think now the betting market is, does SKT drop a game in the tournament? Not a match, a game.
They do look up to the task. So, Jat, you talked about a clean early game, getting through it without early deaths, and kind of that inevitability of the Fiora in the side lanes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay. That 1v1 from Huni under the inhib turret against MMD.
Yeah, and when he has this much lifesteal, he can stack up his Bloodthirster shield to effectively ignore the turret, and he's almost lifestealing enough off of Nautilus to make the turret not necessarily matter. He obviously ults, he gets 40% true damage of max health and pretty easily takes him down under the turret.
Yeah, it's so clean. That was with the Bloodthirster, of course. Items were down.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily about the mechanics of that play. It's about the fact that he just had reached that point in the game where there was very little that MMD could do. I've actually seen Huni play the opposite side of that matchup and not fall nearly as far behind it. Is able to itemize more armor and get a Thornmill and prevent that from happening. But the way they played it set that up.
And let's remember, at the very beginning of the game, Parsa makes a visit top lane, level 2, to get the flash out of Huni. Even makes a couple return ganks, Huni catching, the move into the brush there to avoid the death itself at level 5. So Flash was looking to attack those soul lanes, but as you mentioned, Jat, just cleanliness from SKT in terms of avoiding those ganks, really knowing where the pressure is going to come.
Yeah, it's just that idea that I feel like a lot of people will watch this game and there's that huge stall into the mid game and they're like, this is boring, what's happening? SKT, I thought they were supposed to
Flash
be
Wolves
super
looks
dominant.
like they were in the game by the kill score.
Exactly, but it's just about controlling tempo and that tempered aggression. You know that SKT are just sitting buying their time. Jat, you said, looking for that Bloodthirster, looking for the Black Cleaver. As soon as all of these items came online, suddenly SKT are like, okay, we're ready to go, pack it up, go towards Baron.
They'll play any style. Flash Wolves is slower. They'll play slow and spread them out. Gigabyte Marines is fast. They'll play faster and not lose any turrets. I mean, bold prediction, the team that has dominated every team at the tournament already probably won't drop a game to any team at the tournament from here on out. And I think that's likely with the way they're playing, unless someone can crack them in some way.
It's an interesting thing, though, because even here, when, again, we look at this, we go, okay, Syndra's great laning power there. Nautilus, great gank assist, along with Graves damage in the top lane. There should have been maybe more opportunities to punish these scaling laners, the 1-3-1 splitters from SKT, and yet it doesn't happen. It still felt like they dictated the pace for the entirety of the game, not the Flash Wolves.
But the scary thing for me, 100% agree, is that we've seen so many different styles. Papa Smith is talking about all their different compositions, but you look at the Gigabyte Marines, even when it devolves into straight chaos, SKT still look phenomenal there because they're mechanically just superior players. You then look at a game like this, completely different tempo, and it's the same exact thing. And I don't know if SKT have ever been, they've always been the best team, but if they've ever been this complete package across the entire board.
Well, that's what you get when you bring in Peanut and Huni to fill out your roster and make it a full 5-man threat comp. Well, SKT look to be unstoppable. Up next, we had the last game in the first round robin. It's the Gigabyte Marines versus Team WE. Stay with us.
Did we jinx SKT enough?
As much damage as the other teammates did, and Wolf chunked up in the side of turret, but the kickback is there. Looking for the plays to be had. Nice knockups for MMD, but still taking out her first one. Cannot defend that. And look out for the damage on the Betty. The flash stun's going to come through. Couple more hits will do it. The true shot barrage. Not even what it's called, but he gets the kill anyway. Living artillery it is. And Peanut gets a little bit done, and there's the tower dive. Bloodthirster done. Huni gets a solo kill.
Huni is now the one. See if he can escape in as beautiful a manner as Faker did.
Ooh, riposte. The ulti damage had flashed over a lot of it. But now Faker's in the fight. He's going to kill off Betty. That's one down already. Looking for Maple, now is Peanut. The attack on the Wolf. They will knock him down. 1-for-1 so far. Sword Art buys a bit of time. Peanut low, but not down on this one. The team cutting back, and Faker finding a second kill. Huni wants number 4.
Hey, buddy.
And he's going to knock him down. Faker with 3 kills. 1 picked up as well for Huni. That's going to be the game. Just to add insult to injury, a 12-kill game. SKT in control for 95% of it.